slightly croaky voice today. I'm recovering from a cold and I still have a cough. So if I have to mute my microphone to cough, then please do excuse me. And I will mute my microphone before I do that. But thank you very much for coming along. So what we're going to do today is we're going to run through a demonstration of Curated. Curated is a platform for sending out digest publications. So what is a digest publication? Well, let me show you an example. I'm going to use for today's demo my publication, which I've been running for about 4.5 years now. The subject matter of my publication is iOS development, so iPad, iPhone development, that kind of thing. Of course, the subject matter for your publication will be completely different, and it really doesn't affect the demonstration very much. The reason I use this is because I want to give you a real example of an account that has a lot of data in it, so you can see how it works in the long term, as well as just kind of a quick overview. So this website you're looking at right now is the homepage for my publication. It's hosted by Curated, although it is hosted on a custom domain. This is something we support out of the box with Curated. It's part of the standard offering. You can, if you have a domain name, you can bring it along, plug it in, and we'll host on that domain name for you. But we still do all the hosting. The design of this site is very much focused on starting the user off with a concise description about what they're actually looking to subscribe to. So a little description text here, and then straight into the subscribe area. Nice and prominent. You're going to get people's attention with that straight away. And then in my case here, I've chosen to keep the latest issue of my publication also visible on the homepage here. Now, this is an option inside Curated. You can choose to hide that latest issue if you'd like to, but I'd recommend keeping it on, because one thing that people do when they arrive at a site like this is they want some proof that what they're subscribing to is actually going to be relevant and useful and interesting to them. And having that latest issue of content sitting right there for them to look at is a great way to kind of get them interested in what you're writing. And so this is my last issue, which was published on Friday. And roughly the structure of a curated publication is going to be categories with items or pieces of text or links inside those categories. So I start off here with a comment category, just a very short comment this week. Last week was probably a little longer, I would have thought. Yeah, so last week I decided to write 4 or 5 paragraphs here. This week I didn't have quite as much to say, and so it was a shorter comment. And then straight into the links, basically. So news category, couple of links in there. Each link has a piece of commentary against it. So this is where you get, as the author of one of these publications, you get to add some value to purely just providing these articles or these links to your subscribers. This is where you get to put your opinion in there. And this is a big part of why people subscribe to this kind of newsletter. They're looking for not only a recommendation of what to read, but they're looking for why it's worth their time reading it. So categories, links inside categories, comments against links, and on we go down the rest of the issue. And roughly that's the structure of all curated publications. You've got a subscribe area at the top, latest issue, hopefully displayed on the homepage there, and then categories with links inside them. Okay, before we move on from the website, I'm just going to show you a couple of other things that we do. We maintain a full archive for you. So every time you publish an issue, it will go into this archive here, and you can write some summary text so that people have an idea of what you're actually talking about in each issue. And all of this is searchable as well. So if I search here for example, Apple, the searching is not just giving me back full issues. So it's not giving me back issue 245 in its entirety. Because you've entered the data in quite a granular fashion, like link by link, we can search the data in that same way. And so we're pulling out the most relevant links for this keyword. So this one happened to be in 245, this one happened to be in 242, this one was in 243, and on back we go, for hundreds of pages of mentions of the word Apple on my publication. So that's an overview of the public-facing site. Let's have a look at how we actually put an issue like this together. So once we've logged in, this is my account I'm logged into now. Once we've logged in, the process of putting an issue together really takes three main steps. The first step is to collect some content. So find some links that are interesting that we're going to want to link to in our publication. The next thing to do is to put that issue together. So actually do the curation, pick the best of those links, have a look at what's interesting to us, write our commentary against those links, and then finally publish it and get it out via email and the web. So let's have a look at that process. We'll start with collecting some links. So under collected items here on the menu bar, you can see that I've got a list of pending links so far this week, and I'm constantly adding content to this list. You can see that this was added maybe 10 hours ago, 11 hours ago, something like that. I'm just constantly feeding this with everything that I come across that's even vaguely interesting to me. There's a couple of easy ways for us to do that. The first one is to install the Curated bookmarklet. So if you haven't used a bookmarklet before, it's very easy. Just drag it from the page here up onto your bookmarks bar, and then whenever you come across an interesting link, you can just hit that bookmarklet, and it's going to pop up a window. It's going to have already grabbed the title of the web page for you. It's going to have already grabbed the URL of the web page for you. If you want to, you can start to write your commentary right here. But I tend to find that just getting the links saved is more important at this stage. So I tend to just hit that bookmarklet and immediately just hit save, and it's stored. And you'll see that in our collected items here, straight away, there's our Google link that we put in there. So whenever you, and this is really a habit that you should get into, I mean, if you're not already doing this, right? If you're not already collecting interesting articles that you're finding, get into that habit of whenever you see something that was interesting on the subject matter that you are going to be writing on, just get it into Curated straight away. Because then when it comes to actually writing your newsletter, whenever you decide to publish it, you'll have a whole load of content there waiting for you. The other way, and this is actually the way that I use more than anything else with Curated, is this email address. So I do a lot of my reading on my mobile device, my phone or my iPad. And if you add, it won't be this email address for you, it will be an email address like it for you. If you add that email address to your address book, then whenever you're reading on a phone, Android or iOS, whatever it is, you can just send the link to that email address, and again, it will end up in your collected items. So super easy way just to get content in really quickly without interrupting your workflow. We also have various other ways to get links in, like if you are familiar with a website called Zapier, they integrate lots of different applications together. If you are familiar with them, you can integrate, for example, Twitter and Pocket and Feedly and all sorts of other different applications to also send links into Curated. If you're not familiar with Zapier, don't worry, it's an optional feature. Okay. So once you've got a good set of collected links and you want to actually start to put that together into an issue, let's move on to doing that. So on the issues menu here, we've got access to all of our previously published issues, but also we have our next draft issue here. So let's have a look in there. And this screen is where you'll spend most of your time when you're actually putting together your newsletter, basically. So on the left-hand side here, we've got our collected items, which we've just seen. So there's our Google link, and there's the other links. On the right-hand side, we're going to start building up a categorized list of links in the order that we want to publish them, ready to publish. So let's take that Google link, and let's just bring that one link across. So there it is. Let's also bring a couple of other ones in there. We've got anything in news, there's news. Let's bring something from code across, something like that. Okay. And what you can see is that as we're doing this, it's starting to build up this categorized list of links. There's our Google link right at the top, which currently doesn't have a category. So let's fix that and also add some commentary at the same time. Again, super easy. You don't need to leave this page. It all happens right here. We just hit the edit button. That changes into an editable version of this. The title, I'm fine with that. I'm going to leave that alone. The URL, I might just neaten that up a little bit, and then I'm here to write my commentary. Now, I'm not going to write real commentary now because we've just done a demo, but of course you would. So, commentary entered. We also need to pick a category. Now, the categories I've talked about a couple of times now. One thing to mention is that these categories are completely your choice. These are the ones that I picked for my publication, but equally, you can have as many or as few with whatever names you'd like in the categories, and I'll show you how to set those up in a second. So let's pop this in the news category. We can also, if you want to, add an image that will be displayed just above the link when we publish, but I'm not going to do that in the demo. Let's just save that. And there is our Google link, straight in line. If we wanted it to go below that other item, that would be fine. We'd just drag it and drop it, but let's put it right at the top. And really, the process of putting together an issue is no more complicated than that. You're going to pick the links that you want to publish. You're going to put them in the right order. You're going to write your commentary. You're going to make sure that you're happy with everything, and then you're going to publish it. Now, one thing you'll notice here is that this screen that we're seeing right here is different in the look and feel to this screen that actually gets published when you hit that publish button. So there's actually that's an intentional decision that we made. The design of your newsletter is very important and it needs to look good. But once you've got that design configured and looking how you'd like it to look, the content is actually what's going to keep people subscribed and keep people reading what you're publishing. And so this screen focuses very intentionally on not distracting you with the day-to-day, during your day-to-day work with the design of it, and focusing you absolutely on the content, because that's really why you're here. You know, you've got to get that design right, and that's a kind of one-time task. And you can tweak it, whatever, but it's generally a one-time task. And then the content is really what's going to be keeping people engaged. So this focuses on the content. But of course, you will want to look at your preview in the template before you send it. So we have a couple of ways to do that. The first one is we can actually send ourselves an email. So it will take whatever the current state of the email is, and it will send it across to the to whichever email account you have here. We can also look at a web preview. So this, again, is a live web page, but unless you had this long and complex URL, you wouldn't be able to see this. The advantage of this being a live web page, though, is that you can take that URL and you can pass it to friends or colleagues or you know, whoever you want to maybe have a proofread of it or give you some feedback on it or something like that. You can take that URL, you can give it to them, and they'll be able to see the current preview as well. So here it is. Here's our Google link, and on we go straight down the rest of the issue, just like that. The email, I just has it arrived, so let's bring that on. So the email, oops, sorry. The email, come on. The email looks great in all email clients. This is looking at it in Gmail, so you'll see it's extremely close in terms of matching the web version here. Almost no difference whatsoever. In different email clients, you do lose some features, like for example, in versions of Microsoft Outlook, it doesn't support custom fonts, and so we fall back to a nice or as nice as possible font within Outlook. But generally, the better your email client, the better it's going to look, but it will be readable in everything back to, I think, Outlook 2000, which is now 16 years old. So, you know, we've covered compatibility quite well there. The other thing to mention here is that these emails look great on phones. So many people read this kind of thing on a phone now, and when the emails come through on the phone, people don't have to zoom, they don't have to squint to read the small font. You know, it's going to come through exactly perfectly rendered on their phones as well. Okay. So once you're ready, once you've checked your preview, you're happy for things to go on, you're going to want to publish. There's a schedule button down here. What we can do is we can either publish it immediately, so we can come in here and just hit a button and have the emails sent to all of our subscribers, or if we want to prepare it in advance and have it go at a specific date and time, we can do that. We set the date and time here, hit schedule issue, and off it will go automatically at that point. I'm not going to publish this right now, of course, because it's not ready, but you get the idea. I'm going to show you just a couple more features of the system, and then we'll take some questions if that's okay. So I talked a little bit about the design of your publication, but I didn't show you how to do it. So let's have a quick look at that. So in the settings here, there are lots and lots of settings, all sorts of stuff you can configure, but we're going to look mainly at these publication settings and these issue content settings here. We can do things like, well, first of all, to mention one thing, the customization of a curated template is not a technical task. What you're going to be asked for is things like upload your logo, pick some colors for your header and footer, pick a background image for your header. If you want to include any additional links in the footer, that's fine, do them there. Let me just mute my microphone 1 second, I need to cough, sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, header and footer, you get to choose colors, you get to upload background images, that kind of stuff. You get to pick fonts. You also get to define which categories you'd like here. So you can add as many or as few categories as you'd like to, like I said. And each of them can have their own look and feel as well. So for example, this one here, I've decided to put a picture of myself on that one, picked a color for it. This one here, I picked a different color. So you get the idea. Lots of customization here. Another thing that I'll just briefly go over is subscriber management. So actually, let's go over stats first. So of course, open rate, click rate, all the standard stuff that you would expect from any email packages right here, ready for you. But also we can look at detailed reports on each send. So this is a click report from last week's issue that I sent out, and it's ordered from most popular to least popular, and this is a really useful report to guide your curation, basically. So this is your users giving you feedback on what they enjoyed, and the category is also displayed nice and prominently here, because you can now kind of see that maybe over a period of weeks, one category is consistently performing really, really well. And so maybe you guide your curation a little bit in terms of that direction, in terms of maybe adding some more links to that category or focusing a little bit more on that kind of stuff. I wouldn't let it lead you completely, but I would certainly pay attention to what people are responding to. So this is really useful information here. Let's talk about subscriber management. So obviously, Curated will collect all of the email addresses for you through the subscription form on the homepage here. You get all sorts of charts and graphs here showing your growth and where your subscribers are located in the world, and your top countries and your top cities and that kind of thing. But you can also here, if you want to, look into kind of detailed stats on a specific subscriber. So if I pull up my own record here, just so that it's nobody else's data we're looking at, I can actually look here and see, okay, I was sent issue 245 on Friday. I glanced at it using a webmail client, I clicked on a link, I glanced at it again, I clicked on the link, I glanced at it again, and then presumably at that point I deleted it. So I tend to find that the overall stats are more useful in terms of trends, but if you're focusing in on a specific subscriber, then this can be useful as well. So that is a very brief overview of the curated system. I'd love to take any questions if people have them on anything we either have talked about, or if there's anything that you have that you would like to talk about that we haven't yet covered. I'm happy to answer any and all questions. There should be a chat box. If you just pop your questions in there, I will do my best to answer them. While you're just typing your questions, I will just mention the trial system for Curated is a free trial, and it's no credit card required up front, so you don't have to enter a credit card to start the trial. The entire system is available to use right up until the point of actually hitting that publish button. So you'll be able to configure your custom look and feel, you'll be able to even start collecting subscribers, you'll definitely start be able to put together an issue, so collect some content, curate it, get it all ready to send, and then only at the point where you actually want to hit that publish button are we going to ask you to start a paid subscription with us. So that's worth mentioning. Also, if you have any more questions after the demo, at the bottom of every single screen, there's a little help icon here. If you click on that help icon from anywhere inside the system, you'll get straight through to our support team, and we'll help you as much as we can. So if there are no questions, that's no problem at all. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I hope you have good luck with publishing with Curated. Thank you very much.